Your only job as a brand owner, as an advertiser, as an agency, at least from my perspective, is to find creatives that convert.
If I was a brand new brand, should I be putting more money into finding the creatives or paying someone to actually set up the ads?
All the time that we used to waste on testing the audiences, campaigns, different setups and stuff, now it's the time to actually test out all that content, right?
Right, everyone, we have Stefan today. You've probably seen it in our last episodes. He is also one of the founders of Clip and founder of Social Cat. And today we are going to talk about ads. We're going to have a series about ads. So this is the first of the 4 episodes, for now at least. Today we're diving into metrics and also media buying. Well, if you don't know these terms or if it's just very overwhelming for you, that's why we're here. So we're going to talk about this in detail. I'm just going to let Stefan take over for now, but of course, feel free to drop any questions.
Amazing stuff. So where to actually start? So there's like 2 subjects, right? We have like metrics and then like media buying. I think if we want to just like give like a good overview of this, probably it's like we're starting with just like media buying and just like giving a bit of context on like everything that happened in the past few years and then just like, diving into metrics. But let's start with media buying. So what is like media buying? Probably like the easiest way, just like I'm just going like really just like narrow it down and make it simple. Media buying is just like setting up the campaigns on different ad platforms and just like optimizing these campaigns towards a specific goal that you're trying to achieve. In more than 90% of the cases, it's going to be just like conversions or just like pretty much conversions, right? So that's the idea. Setting up campaigns, setting up the entire like ad process on different ad platforms, either if we're talking about Meta, Snapchat, TikTok, or like any other ad platform, setting up the process and just like optimizing these processes towards a specific goal. I think, at least from my perspective, this media buying term had more relevance back in the days, right? And that's like why it's important to give a bit of context on this. Media buying back in the days meant one thing. When you set up these campaigns, you have like different structures and different ways to like set up these campaigns. Now, the one that I'm going to talk about, they're pretty much specific to Meta, but they can apply to other ad platforms as well, just like Snapchat and TikTok. Back in the days, I remember this was like actually when we were secured, so it was like 2019 or even probably 2019, 2020 time, right? Oh, I'm getting old. It's like 4 years since then. I just realized it's like media buying back in the days. Like, what does this mean precisely, more practically? We have different types of just setting up these campaigns, right? So first of all, you used to have like CBOs, ABOs, and even like single ads or like single ads optimizations, the way we used to call them, right? And like when I'm going to give you the context on these ones, we're then going to just mention how they are nowadays, just like to understand the differences. Basically, what is a CBO, right? A CBO is a campaign budget optimization. And this practically means you just go to Facebook Ad Manager, you set up a campaign, and inside this campaign, you just give a budget, which is like set up at the campaign level. And inside this campaign, you create multiple ad sets. And in each ad set, you have like multiple ads over there, right? So this is like the first way of organizing, like kind of like a structure, right? Again, one campaign, multiple ad sets inside, and in each ad set, you have like multiple ads, right? With this one, you have a chance to just like set up the budget at the campaign level, and then you just like kind of like let Meta distribute the budget alongside these ad sets, right? So they're going just like to do their stuff in the background. They're going to distribute the budget according to who they think it's a winner between these ad sets. Now, back in the days, there used to be, or at least we used to do it, there was like also ABO types of campaigns, which is like ad budget optimization. If you have CBO, campaign budget optimization, you also have ABO, ad set level budget optimization. Let's put it like that. So with these ABOs, it's again, you kind of like, you pretty much set up a campaign. You have like multiple ads sets inside, and then in each ad set, again, you have like multiple ads inside. The main difference is that you didn't really use to control the budget at campaign level, but you used to control the budget for each ad set separately, right? So you didn't really let Meta decide what's the winning ad set, but instead you just go and you set up a budget for each ad set, and then you have more control over this like process, right? Now, what's the logic behind this? Why did we used to do this, right? And it's like still kind of like applies even nowadays. Back in the days, we used to think that Meta is not really good at finding necessarily ad winners, right? They used to find like some ad winners, but from our perspective, Meta was missing out on some ad sets or like ads, right? So that's why we used to just take control from them and not let them set up the campaign, the budget at campaign level, but instead we just took that budget and we split it ourselves, between these like ad sets. So quite simple to grasp in the background. We just like can control them. That was the main logic over there. So you have these like two structures over here. And then at the same time, there was like kind of like another like type of structure. But to be honest with you, I remember talking with some advertisers back in the days, and they were saying, "What do you guys do over there?" Because no one really does it that way, right? So it was just like a lot of control, way much more control. This one is like single ad optimization. Let's put it like that. So again, you have one campaign, you have multiple ad sets in this campaign. And then in each ad set, you only have one ad instead of having multiple ads. So why did we used to do this? Because we want to give like a fair chance to each ad separately, right? So when you only have one ad in one ad set and you give just like the budget to this ad set, then you know for sure that this ad set is only going to spend that budget on a single ad, right? So we wanted to give like a fair chance again to like multiple ads because there was a lot of work over there to just like create those images or like creatives or whatever. So these are the structures again. If we have to like summarize it, you have CBO, where you basically just control the budget at the campaign level and you just like let Facebook decide which is the best ad set over there according to what they think is best. You also have ABO, where you basically decide yourself about this like budget at each ad set level. And you also have the ads, the single ad optimization, where you still decide the budget at an ad set, but it's only one ad in each ad set. So they actually have more chances of just like, spending and understanding what's best for them. Now, you can argue this, like even with CBOs, right? Campaign budget optimization, what you can do is also like set up a minimum spend for each ad set accordingly, right? So even inside those ones, there's like a bit of like room to play and give ad sets like a fair. But this was back in the days. I haven't really done single ads or like ad budget optimizations. We do some sort of like smart ads, but I haven't really touched them in a while, to be honest with you. This was like back in the days. And again, the logic behind doing all these optimizations is to have more control over the spending and giving your ads or your creatives more chances to spend in order to actually find more winners. So that was like the entire logic between these like structures. Now, again, like these structures, they pretty much work on Snapchat as well. They pretty much work on TikTok as well. If I'm not mistaken, I haven't really launched ads on like Snapchat or TikTok in a while, but CBO was like the transferable one. So you have like CBOs on Snapchat, you have like CBOs on like TikTok as well. And if I remember correctly, it was like kind of like the same. So first part, at least from my perspective, from media buying is just like these kind of like structures, right? But setting up these kind of structures obviously took a lot of time. Imagine launching 20 or 30 or 40 or 50 ads every single week and like just like having ad sets for each individual ad, for example. So even when I was like at Secured, my main job was like literally every single week, just launch ads, stop ads, launch ads, stop ads. So that like actually like took a lot of time. Now, if we talk again like specifically about media buying, there's also like one more aspect to it, and this is like just like back in the days. This is actually really, really back in the days. Part of media buying was also on top of like these like structures was figuring out other things as well. So what are the best placements, for ads? Where are the ads best performing? Is it Instagram stories? Is it like Facebook Messenger? Is it like Facebook feed? Where do the ads perform better, right? So we used to do even like split testing. I had creatives that used to go only on Facebook stories or Instagram stories, or maybe only on Facebook feed and Instagram feed and so on. So placement and testing this placement was like a big part of media buying as well. Now let's roll it a bit more. On top of placement, you also have like audiences, right? Now you test different audiences, but this was like back in the days, right? So you test audiences in terms of interest, right? I remember when we used to do ads for like sneakers, for sneakerheads, we used to test an audience that was performing really, really well for us. And the audience was literally called like sneakerheads. So people on Facebook that are interested on sneakers, right? So this used to perform like very well for us. On top of like interest-based audiences, you also had lookalike audiences, right? Where you simply just take a list of customers, email addresses, you upload it on Facebook. We used to upload it on Facebook, and you tell Facebook, hey, I want you to find me people that are similar to these ones over here, and just like advertise to them. This was performing quite well as well, depending on the audience. So again, just like testing the audiences was like a big part of this one as well, right? So you have to just test interest-based audiences versus lookalike audiences, and imagine you have a bunch of interest over there that you can advertise to, right? So everything was just a bunch of processes behind the scenes trying to figure out what actually works best for you, and which placement, which interest, which lookalike audience performs best for you. This was pretty much like media buying back in the days. I'm trying to think if there was something else on top of placements and like audiences.
I actually
So
have
we
a
have-
question, Stefan,
Yep.
before you go any further. So, you know, when we touched upon the kind of campaign level, ad set level, and ad levels, I feel like for someone who maybe has a clue, but maybe, you know, the organization side, because you said yourself, like when you have multiple ad sets with just one single ad in each set, it kind of becomes a little bit like overwhelming. But can you explain a little bit, like, what is the difference between, like, what are the actual things that you decide on the campaign level, on the ad set level, and on the ad level itself, so people know
The
what
difference.
campaign or what ad set specific ads should be?
So again, like again, these are like the structures, right? We have like CBOs, campaign budget optimization. We have like ABO, ad set budget optimization, and then like single ads optimizations. The kind of like difference between all these three is like the structure itself, but like what we use to control and like what is the main difference is like where do we control the budget, right? For CBOs, which is like the campaign budget, the CBOs, we control the budget at the campaign level. So we give a budget to that specific campaign, and inside that specific campaign, you have multiple ad sets. Each ad set has multiple ads inside, but the budget is controlled at the campaign level, right? So think of this as a structure, right? It's just like, okay, you have campaign, you have ad set 1, ad set 2, ad set 3, ad set 4, and each ad set has ad 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 inside, right? But you control the budget at the campaign level. You give it like $500 to spend, and then from over there, Facebook or Meta just like distributes this budget accordingly, right? So whatever they think is best, right? Based on different metrics. So that was like, that's the main difference. Now, if we move one level down and we say ABO, or like ad budget optimization, ad set budget optimization, you don't give this control to the campaign level. You set up a campaign, you don't give this campaign a budget, and you go to the ad set level, you take that budget $500 and you give this budget to each ad set individually, right? So you control that budget basically. The question is like, why do you do that?
But Stefan, wait, I think Nicola, and correct me if I'm wrong, I think Nicola was just asking, like, this is like basic level of knowledge of what the campaign means. When you literally going
for
inside,
example,
going inside Ads Manager and like, okay, I'm going to start the campaign now, but I don't know where to start and what are the settings that are going to do. But I think also, Nicola, I think this is another discussion after we finish with media buying, because we're going to get in that part, because now we're talking about in the days what media buying was.
Yeah, exactly. So if we want to like simplify things and just someone looks at like podcast right now and they get confused, you don't really have to do it this way nowadays. It's just way more simple, and that's what I actually wanted to get. What happened back in the days versus like what's happening now. But again, there's only one thing you need to understand from all those structures. Where do you control the budget and how much chance you give to each creative and ad set individually? It's not like important because like no one really does it anymore this way, and also used to be like, a bit complicated, to be honest with you, right? But let's move on. Actually, here over here, COVID is gone, everything is gone. We're happy, everyone is good.
I think we used to do, when I was helping you guys with social cat ads and we were doing lookalikes and stuff like that. It feels so long ago.
Yeah, it really does.
That's what I was like. That's what I'm saying, because like if someone watches, like nowadays it's like way more simple. Like again, from my perspective, media buying doesn't really make sense anymore. I don't really understand, like what is media buying nowadays anymore, because setting up campaigns is like super simple, right? So that's why like what I wanted to get. Like if we look nowadays, the best thing to do is just A+ campaign. And these campaigns nowadays are called Advantage Plus, and everything that I talked about earlier, just like scratch it from the board. Nowadays, when you set up like an Advantage Plus campaign, it's super simple. You go into your Facebook Ads Manager and you just start a new campaign, you pick a name for this new campaign, and then you're going to slowly move on. The next step is when you basically set up this new campaign, it's going to ask you, what goal do you optimize towards to, right? What do you want to achieve? Again, there's like a bunch of goals over there, like brand awareness, engagement, traffic, there's a goal as well. But the only goal, at least from my perspective, that actually makes sense is conversions. You have to optimize towards conversions. Now, what a conversion means is just like up to like each business individually. If we're talking about e-commerce, it's probably purchase. For us, at SocialCat, this goal is actually an action, it's a start trial. So you have to figure out what's your goal back in your business. But most of the time, 99% of the cases, at least from my perspective, if I would do something new, it's going to be conversions. So you set up your goal over there, like you set up conversions, and then you move on to the next part. The next part used to be setting up the audiences, who you want to advertise to. Do you have like any interest? Do you have like any age groups? Do you have any locations, you know? So this was kind of complicated because people were like, okay, I don't really know who to advertise. What interest should I advertise to? What age groups? What like locations? This is all gone. When you actually like reach this step on like Advantage Plus campaign right now, you only select your location. I want to advertise to US people. I want to advertise to UK people. I want to advertise to like Australian people. So you just like pick the country. The question now appears like, okay, why do you actually do this? Why don't you like set up those things anymore? Because as Meta evolves, they become actually way, way better at understanding this data themselves and doing these actions for you. So basically, when you say, I'm going to advertise to US, what Meta does in the back, they advertise to pretty much all US people. They start to, actually not all US people, I'm wrong. They advertise like specific parts of audiences in the US, let's call them buckets, right? And they just try to discover which actually performs better, which is like an audience that would work for you. So you don't have to do all those testings anymore. Again, you just go into Advantage Plus campaign, you just set up the country that you want to advertise, and that's pretty much it, right? Don't complicate your life.
This is the place where you also set up your budget, isn't it?
So you do, yeah, to have the budget, right, at this level over here. So when you set up the campaign budget, you just set up something that you're comfortable with. I'm not exactly sure about this. You know, you need to see like what's your budget, how much you're comfortable with, and so on. So that's pretty much in terms of like how you start. You start the campaign, and then what's the next step over there? Okay, we have a campaign. It's called Advantage Plus campaign, and you like set up the budget. You set up the goal that you want to achieve with this campaign, and obviously the goal is going to be, again, from my perspective, conversions. You set up the audience location, which you just worry about the country. In general is going to find out the best options for you in terms of like placements, in terms of like audiences, in terms of age groups, and you just don't really meddle with that. It's 10 times more simple, right? That's like the main difference nowadays compared to the media buying back in the days. You don't really worry about testing a bunch of like different things and put them against each other and try to figure out what is the best. You just let them be over there. Now, inside this campaign, you're going to have only one ad set. Remember, a few minutes ago, I mentioned back in the days, you used to have a campaign, multiple ad sets inside. Each ad set has multiple ads inside. And that used to become very complicated. What the fuck am I going to do over here? Because it just like tends to be like very complicated, right? Nowadays, you don't really stress out anymore. You set up the campaign again, you set up one ad set. And in this ad set, you're just going to put a lot of ads over there, right? Does that make sense? That's clear now.
Like single ads, basically. That's what we're going to do.
Exactly. So you have one campaign, you have only one ad set, and in this ad set, you're going to launch all your ads and you're going to mix them up over here, and you're going to let Facebook decide what's the best performing ad for you. So super simple, super easy for you to actually grasp upon. Now, there's also a few other things. If we're talking about ads specifically, when you set up an ad, what are the parts of this ad that you're going to introduce over there, right? When we reach to the ad level, it's super simple. They're going to ask you, okay, what's your ad name? How do you want to call this ad? Then it's going to be, okay, connect your like Facebook or Instagram page, which should be already connected by this time. It's super simple. Then it's going to ask you, about the creative. Basically, upload your image or upload your video that you want to advertise, right? Then the next step is like the primary text. What is the copy for this ad that you want people to see, right? Like separate topic itself. We're going to talk about that one specifically. So primary text, and then you also have like a headline for the ad and a call to action, right? Now, again, primary text is the text that you like see over there that you decide that goes along with the ad. We're going to do another one about that. Don't stress out too much about it. Headline is a bit of copy as well, so don't stress out about that either. And then CTA, a call to action. To be honest with you, I've never really experimented with anything else than learn more.
Yeah.
Learn more is the classic. It worked very well. Don't touch it. Don't stress yourself about it. Don't ask what is the best like CTA or so. Just leave learn more because it works.
Yeah, because the other ones are kind of like too pushy. I think they're like shop now and these kind of things, you know. I don't even know the rest of them, to be honest, because as Stefan mentioned, we've never used them.
There's all sorts of like sign up, start something,
Subscribe.
do something. Exactly. So that's about it. But on top of that, there's like a few other things that you set up when you set up this ad. Let's put it like that. There's also like the website link, right? Where do you want these like people that see your ad to actually land? Obviously, that's going to be your landing page on the website, product page, or whatever, right? Now, obviously, that has to be optimized specifically as well, because if you do really good ads and people land on a website that is like quite
Crap.
bad, your conversion obviously is not going to be amazing. Let's put it like that. But that's like an entire segment itself, and there's a bunch of like moving parts over here. Yeah, I think that's pretty much it. There's also like kind of like UTM parameters, which are like kind of like used to track things as well. But those you can go without them. We used to go without them for quite some time. But shortly, UTM parameters, they're small pieces of text that are added to your website link, right? So if I'm going to put like the website link, the socialcat.com/brands, when I put these UTM parameters, I'm going to get other bits of text attached to my website link over there. So it's going to be the socialcat.com/brands/Facebook to understand where these people are coming from. And like slash again, the name of the campaign, just like understand which campaign are coming from. One more slash, the name of the ad, right? So we're doing these like bits of text or like parameters to just like better track things on top of Facebook. But this like tends to become a bit more tricky, a bit more complicated, because you need another like software to actually track, like Mixpanel or something else. So don't worry about these ones. Just start doing the ads without these ones, right? Because that's going to be fine for the beginning. And that's pretty much it. You publish the ad and that's about it. So not sure how well I explained it, but I hope you do see the difference between like media buying back in the days when you used to do all those structures and all those tests, and media buying nowadays is just like 10 times more simple. That's why, at least from my perspective, now would say media buying is dead, because that's something else. But media buying doesn't really have a point anymore, because it's like you go there, you set up a campaign, and again, like you just put ads over there every time you put ads. And whenever you launch a new ad, let's say, okay, I launched my first ad. What do I do now? Okay, I want to launch 3 more ads. I just like came to Clip. I have 3 more videos that I got them from some amazing creators, and I want to just launch these ones as well. You go in Facebook Ads Manager, you find your campaign, and in this campaign, you just like hit the button, create ad, and this ad is going to ask you again the same things. Hey, give me an image, give me a creative, an image or a video, give me your primary text, which is like the copywriting, give me a headline, give me a link where you want this ad to lead to, put a name to this ad, link it to a Facebook and Instagram page, and that's about it.
Yeah, and I think from my perspective as well, even like 2-3 years ago, the media buying was still very much in the motion, right? So we would, as marketing managers, we would lose so much time, waste so much time on actually building those campaigns, building those audiences.
Exactly.
And it's part of the procrastination for a lot of clients, for a lot of brands out there. Because now I feel like content is king, and I feel like it always was, but people there wasn't enough automations and the platforms doing the work for us that is just, find me the audience. Like, we're paying you to do that, essentially. So you tell me what audiences are great, and I can focus on delivering you the content that is going to be delivering for those audiences, right? So I feel like that was the massive switch, when it was like, it would take so long to even create a campaign, because imagine you would have to decide, the whole campaign would be like, okay, do you want video views? Then you need to give me a video. Do you want, and it was just like, what is the point? And then you were building those audiences based on down that funnel. So if you had those video views, then you could do the let's get some landing page views. And it was just such a waste of time, really.
It was, but like
Yeah.
this was like the part of the job. So like, setting up all these was just like a pain. I'm
It
not
was
gonna
a
call it a
full-time.
pain.
It was a
It
full-time
was a
job.
full
Yeah.
time, exactly a full time job. So now, if we think about it, it's so simple to just launch ads nowadays, right? Don't worry, don't stress out about like all sorts of optimizations, like structures. It's just like one structure. Meta is going to basically take care of everything and try to find the best performing audiences for you. So that's like super simple. I think it's like also worth noting that a big advantage of this kind of structure, what Meta did lately, is that now as an advertiser, you just focus on finding good creatives, right?
Yep.
That's
Mhm.
it. You don't really need to worry about anything else. Your only job as a brand owner, as an advertiser, as an agency, at least from my perspective, is to find creatives that convert. And that's a job itself that requires still a lot of testing, right? You need to test different hooks, different bodies of the videos, different call to actions, types of like text or like static ads. So that's an entire job itself still, but that's like a fun job, I think.
I was gonna say though, do you think then the whole, I guess, industry has changed in terms of before it used to be I didn't know how to do ads myself. I'd have to go pay someone to do ads, whereas now I've stepped away from ads are not as hard to actually do no more, and it comes back to it's the creative, the first step. So like my question I guess is, if I was a brand new brand, should I be putting more money into finding the creatives or paying someone to actually set up the ads? Like which would be more?
Definitely, I would spend all my money on creatives. If I would start a brand today, and I'm not even talking just because I know ads, let's put it like that. Even if I would not know ads, I'm going to spend all my money on creatives, and I'm not going to pay an agency for media buying because it doesn't make sense. There's also so much education online related to this, right? Just go and like watch YouTube videos. You're going to understand how to like set up these things. It's actually harder to find the good creatives that perform. So don't spend money on like, agencies and like having them set up your ads, because they're going to like be quite expensive. Instead, spend all the money on creatives. And here's another tip. I wouldn't even like bother, if I'm a small brand, I wouldn't bother just like spending money on UGC creators in the beginning, because that's going to like add up as costs, right? Just go on Canva. It's like $10 a month and you get like tons of great creatives. Like the best performing ad at Social Cat, it's a creative that is on a like yellow background, and I just like wrote something on it. Don't spend $500 to $1,000 on an influencer when you can work with a micro influencer instead. Do gifted collaborations. It costed me not even $10. That's the best performing ad today. If you want to start, that's a structure. Don't spend money on agencies. Don't do that. You don't need it.
You've called out something really good there too, I think, is the fact for people that, yes, we are UGC creators, Clip is UGC, but I think so important with ads too is it's not always just UGC. But I think that's what makes it nice, is the fact if you were going to spend, say, £100, well, it would never be £100, but £100 on an influencer, that you'd blow in your budget, if your budget is that small or whatever, that then you instead could be like getting multiple smaller videos, mixing your actual assets with some statics in there too, that then you're going to get a lot more for it. Because once again, being completely honest, like, yes, UGC is so powerful ads, but also too, you have to have those statics in there as well, I personally think too.
Yeah, for sure. A mix, it depends on the business, right? For example, both at Clip and Social Cat, you do have statics and videos that perform very well. So I'm assuming, I would say there's maybe like a general rule, let's put it like that. I've seen even on Twitter, lots of e-com brands that are doing statics and it's working very well for them, right? So again, if you want to start it, just get a good grasp on this, like understand how it works, throw thousands of dollars if you actually can, or if not, just like throw in a few $100 over there to understand how the system works, to understand how to set up everything, and just like spend $10 on Canva, do some ads in Canva, like static, and then slowly like ramp up.
It's all about the balance, isn't it? And figuring out, I feel like nowadays, in comparison to before, all the time that we used to waste on testing the audiences, campaigns, different setups and stuff, now it's the time to actually test out all that content, right? So
exactly,
whatever works best and whatever is showing on your Facebook results is, the type of content that your audience probably wants to see. But then also, if you do find a winning content type, don't stop there, right? Would you guys agree? Because, every ad set, every ad kind of content has its expiry date, and at one time or another, unfortunately, it will happen. So don't just stop experimenting. I think that would be an important bit there.
Yeah, it just happened to us. So we're at this point where we're winning the ad. It's fine. We're still launching ads, and now we were in a spot, but now we're just back a bit back. So that was things. That's why it is important to not stop, because at some point, it's just going to get tired. The whole audience is going to get tired of that ad, of course, and then the performance of that ad is not going to continue.
I think, would you guys agree that an important metric to also keep an eye on, that I think people quite often forget, is the frequency of, how many times the average person sees the same ad?
Oh, yeah.
Because actually, you're paying for the same people to see the same ad, and they're still not bringing the result.
Yeah.
So would you say that's quite important as well to keep an eye on?
I would definitely say frequency is something that I'm looking at, but a lot of the times, I wouldn't say all the times, but a lot of the times it's going to be correlated to drop in performance as well. So you're going to see, if you compare ads in the past 7 days, and then you look at the previous 7 days, you're going, or previous 7 days again, you're going to see that the ad performance slowly drops down, and then the frequency of that goes up. So you can correlate those between them. I haven't looked at frequency lately, but I'm looking more at the performance. But there is a correlation over there. Have a look at it as well.
But I think sometimes it's just one of those things when people see the ad is kind of dropping the interest and the results are dropping, but then they just can't figure out why. And I feel like the frequency is often the reason, because the ad is still great. The creative is amazing, but it's just that people have seen it too many times sometimes.
Exactly. Something that you can do over there with these, there's two things. Just stop the ad, give it 6 months, and then turn on the ad again, and then it's going to be kind of fresh, let's put it like that. Or you can just roll over that ad into something else and take that copy, take that creative, just try to reproduce that vibe in the video with someone else, and just try it again. And that's kind of the way you do ads as well. I have best performing video, and I'm just looking at this video, right? The question is why did this video perform compared with other videos, right? So you just look at the video, you try to figure that out, and you try to replicate that thing. Amazing, right?
Yeah, it's so easy.
Easy said than done, for sure.
Just something that I missed, I kind of remember, something that gets people very confused in the beginning is the pixel, right? So setting up that
That's
pixel, right? Just it is the trigger word, right? But it's super simple. I would say now for most people, I'm not sure exactly how they do their website, or if they work with an agency where they do it, I don't know, WordPress, or there's a bunch of website builders nowadays. Pixel is super simple. Pixel is just a snippet of code, just a piece of code like this. It's just literally one line. Meta provides this for you, and you go on Facebook ads and ads manager, you're going to find this piece of code. You just literally take this piece of code, this one line, and you have to install it on your website. Now, if you do your website with an agency, you're going to give it to them, or just even give them access to Facebook ads or Meta, and they're going to put it for you. If you work with a website builder and you've done this yourself, there's definitely an option to actually introduce this over there. There's a bunch of guidance on this one as well. Don't get scared about it. It's actually super simple. It's literally one line of code that you take and you put on your website. And the question is what is that? So that a line of code, it just helps you track conversions that are coming from Facebook. Every single time you have a user that clicks on an ad and comes to your website, that little piece of code, that little snippet of code tracks this visitor, right? And sees what this visitor does on your website. If this visitor buys something from your website, then this small piece of code sends the information back to Facebook, and you see one conversion in Facebook. So again, super simple. But yeah, see who did your website, talk to them. It's just a 5-minute job. If you've done something with the website builder, definitely check their settings, reach out to their support, because it's super easy with them as well. You just put it on the code at the top.
Or just ask ChatGPT, probably he will know.
Or just ask ChatGPT. That's actually a great idea, because probably he knows.
Yeah, by the time the support is going to reply to you, and all these things, because most of the times nowadays when you go onto the page and there's this little chat, you will eventually talk with an AI, which is not very fun. But I just literally I want to talk to a human, and sometimes a human comes, but most of the times there's no human. So
I feel like you're lucky if you get AI. normally, is what I mean.
That's true. But yeah, in any case, you can find these things out. But I mean, it's the most important part.
That is the
Actually.
most important part.
um.
For anyone
Yeah.
who's watching this stuff, again, like media buying, I kind of like talked a bit about it. You've seen that it used to be really complicated back in the day. It used to like take a lot of time. Nowadays, it's like 10 times more simple. Again, you don't really need to pay anyone to do like meta ad. Just start yourself, start with like some small budgets and actually try to figure it out yourself, because it's going to be a great learning experience. It's a great skill as well. And you don't really need anyone for it, to be honest with you. If you started a business, if you're a small business owner, this is going to be a great skill for you to have. And even for bigger advertisers, right? Like, okay, let's say you're like not bigger advertiser, bigger brand. Even if you're a bigger brand, right, and you just chat to your, I don't know, the marketing manager or someone from this big brand, and you work with an agency, it's actually really good for you to understand what's happening behind the scenes. Because to be honest with you, there might be agencies that are not as good as what they do, but they may be good at bullshit, right? I'm not going to give names, but I remember like probably 2 years ago, just like random example, there was this agency randomly that we talked with them from, I don't even remember where they came from. And they were saying, guys, you should try the blue ocean strategy. You should try this. I'm like, what the fuck is the blue ocean strategy, right? And they're like, oh yeah, you just pick some interest over there and you see which one performs best. But this was like, probably like 2 years after interest weren't working anymore. No one was doing interest anymore, basically, right? And they were saying, yeah, do this because it's working. So the idea is it's good for you as well to know what's happening under the hood, or at least understand, So
yeah, I couldn't agree more with that. I feel like for businesses, it's good for themselves, because you don't want to take away that power in terms of losing out and like what your customers are actually interacting with. And also too comes back to, I think, an element of like trying to work out for your business. Okay, this product's selling well, people react to that. Okay, is there another thing I could create or do? So you don't want to take that power away, that then you're sitting like, okay, sales are happening, but you've no reason why or how to actually scale even further then with that as well, I think.
Definitely. And then your ads should also tell you about your audience, probably the most, because you can tell yourself, my audience is, 25 to 30 women based in blah, blah, blah. But actually, someone completely different might actually be buying it. So this is the source of the information that you should take with you to the whole product development and everything else in your business. So I definitely agree that this is completely 100% important to be able to kind of move around with those like simple terms and just basic knowledge, at least, just to know where your money is going, just to know what is happening.
Yep, I remember we talked to a small brand, that Social Cat, and she was a lady from the US, right? And she had like a great product. I don't remember what it was exactly, but I remember I really liked it. Great website. Maybe probably there were some issues here and there. Great website, great product. And she was saying, I think it was with Smart Ads, and she was saying like, I don't want to hear about agencies because I spent like literally more than $20,000 without any return, So she was saying every time I talk to them, they're like, okay, yeah, we need to put more money into these ads. We didn't understand how they work. And she didn't really understand how the entire environment is working. So you really need to understand things behind the scenes, have the basic knowledge. Why is this happening? How does this work? Where does it lead, right? And if I'm not getting conversions, why am I not getting conversions? What is the problem along the line?
It looks like we had a lot to talk about media buying for now, but we'll definitely come back to metrics. If you have any questions about ads, feel free to reach out to us, Instagram, TikTok, email, LinkedIn, whatever you want, YouTube. But also if you have any other questions in general, just reach out to us over email as well. And yeah, we'll see you on our next episode. Bye.
Yeah. Bye.